Hey guys, thanks for joining me. Rob from Stop Time here. Today we're going to talk about the 1964 scale Hudson made by Lionel. This was actually made from 64 until 66. They also made the scale Hudson in 1950. The difference being more in the tender between the 50 and the 64, the 66 version. The 1950 version of the scale Hudson is the 2426W, which was a more detailed tender, and that's one of the main thing. Where this here is basically the 2046 whistling tender with a New York Central shell. It also, in the book, it says it could come with the Pennsylvania shell also, but the one I have today here is the New York Central. So, and the main difference between the engine basically was the stamping and the lettering on the 773, where the 64, the 66 version is a white and a bigger font than what you would find on the 50. So not only is the tender different, but actually you can tell the difference between the two by the stamping of the 773. If you watch my video on the scale Hudson 1950 version, it's basically a carryover, but I wanted to kind of touch base on the 64, the 66 version. Again, this was Lionel in the post-war period, was their version of the scale Hudson, which was just a beautiful, beautiful engine. It was the top of the line steam engine that Lionel produced from 1945 to 1969. During the post-war period. They did reissue this, and I have one. I'll do a video on it in the early 80s, like the 83, 84, 85 time period, which was, I think it was 84, 85 time period, was the 783. Again, now that one there had the tender was more similar to the 1950 version. But when you look at these, again, I mean, these were just a really, really nice piece. You have the 4-6 4-wheel arrangement, again with Postwar motor and E-unit. These were, like I said, it's a heavy unit, it's a big unit. Now, I have run these on I have a Super O layout. I run on Super O and on 031. But to be honest with you, on these bigger engines, they will run on 031 and even Super O. But they really like to, I think, if you're going to run these bigger engines, you need to really go to like an 042 or 054 larger radius. They seem like they just perform better. You get a lot of swing out from the cab on the corners and stuff. They will do it, but again, if you're in the process of maybe wanting to build a layout and you're wanting to run post-war or some of the bigger modern steam engines, by all means, if I was going to do that, I would make at least one loop where you had like a 54-inch radius or something. Especially, they just run so much better. But again, when you're looking at these engines, the key to them, again, is, I mean, you're looking at a 50-some-year-old engine at this point, 50-some-year-old engine. Typical Lionel issues as far as, you know, you want to look at the back to make sure this area hasn't been dropped or bent. It's common to see this area could have a bend in it or even straight or cracked. The other thing you want to look, again, is your marker lights. You want to look at the front cowl catcher, these little steps, make sure they're intact. This here, you can actually, in the casting, they're actually little pieces of cast, so you can see in between them. So they're kind of fragile. You want to make sure that's intact. And just overall condition of the engine. Again, the Postwar motors, pretty bulletproof piece. Mechanical E-unit, which is pretty easy to service and a good piece. So overall condition does have a little bell, so which is a fragile piece. Like I said, the marker lights, has the whistling 2046 tender. Again, typical issues with 2046s or any of the steam tender or the tenders is make sure the wire is intact, both of them, and they're not cracking, and they're at this point they get fragile. So really neat piece if you're into post-war Lionel. And especially the steam stuff. I mean, every clutch needs a scale Hudson 773 in it. Great piece, and you can find the 64, the 66 versions are more affordable than the 50. Being 50 is 1 year only, it's a little bit more desirable. But these are both great pieces. If you want an alternative, you could go into the MPC era, and like I said, get a 783, or you could even go into during the 90s, they reissued it again. So a lot of options out there for you. But if you have any questions, you can always feel free to call me at the shop. My name is Rob. I'm from Stop Time. I'm in Norton, Ohio, 330-825-4206. Hey, Lionel is an investment in happiness. Happy model railroading, guys. Thank you.